Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about some of the new improvements in SabreCSG version 1.1. Let's start by looking at the resize tool. You'll see there's a couple of new additions here. We've got the ability to translate brushes and rotate them using Unity style handles. If I switch back to translation, you'll also see that the handle is now aligned local to that brush orientation. This is because we also now support local and global modes. So if I move the brush in global mode, it moves according to the grid. If I move it locally, it moves according to the brush's own orientation. This is especially useful if I want to, say, duplicate a brush and position one next to it. I'll delete both of these, which will reset it, and I'll show you some of the new resize improvements too. So if I duplicate this brush, you'll see that we now have support for multi-select in the resize tool. So I can resize both brushes and I can move them. The same extends for translation. So I can move both brushes. You can also see that if I switch to pivot mode instead of center mode, I can rotate around the first brush I selected. And similarly, if I switch back to resize mode, you'll see we also have support for global and local modes in resizing. Something else which has changed since 1.0 is we now have a new shortcut for rebuilding. Before it was Control-R on a PC and Command-R on OS X. That's now changed to Command-Shift-R on PC and Command-Shift-R on a Mac. That was due to some conflicts on the Unity editor for PC. Something else which we've improved in 1.1 is SabreCSG will now automatically hide its interface if you switch to another object. So if I switch to, say, a directional light, it will automatically hide and I can manipulate that light, and then as soon as I select one of the CSG objects again, SabreCSG will come back. Next, let's look at some of the face tool improvements. So I'll just turn off position snapping and resize this brush to give a good example. If I build that and switch to face, you can see that we've got a face that doesn't align very well. Some of the new improvements allow us to align to the top, left, right and bottom of a face. So right now this is basically left aligned and bottom aligned, but if I click the top button, you'll see it moves to the top and to the right. So this should make it a lot easier to align various faces. We've also now got an auto fit button. So if I press that, you'll see that the entire face aligns to its bounds. And there's also some new options for selection. So I can select all faces. So in this case, I'd change them to, say, a blue material, or I can select none, select face. I can then invert it, which will pick everything except for that face. So I can change all of them back. I can also select a specific face, and one of the other features that has been recently requested is the ability to exclude faces. So if I click exclude, these faces will be removed from the final meshes. So this is done both in the brush itself, so that if I rebuild it, you'll see they're still missing, and it's also done instantly by updating the final meshes as soon as we toggle this checkbox. Some of the other things which we have added are support for post-build points. So every time you build, it's maybe quite useful to have certain code fire. And one of the use cases for this is Super Character Controller, which is an open source character controller. But one of the things it requires is for geometry that you use as mesh colliders to have a BSP tree component on it. So all of the final meshes must have a BSP tree. And we've added support for that by adding basically post-process steps. So what you can do is you can set up a static class like this one. and then you give it a post-process CSG build attribute on a static method that takes a transform. And what you can then do is you can do certain operations on that. So, for instance, you can take the mesh group, and here I'm taking all the mesh colliders and adding a BSP tree to each of them. So if we look at the built collision mesh, you can see that it's now got a BSP tree. We've also fixed a number of bugs in 1.1, including fixing some issues with transparent windows on Unity 5.3, adding support so you can now move the SabreCSG folder to a subfolder, fixing some issues surrounding shift selection of brushes, and fixing some issues with web player compilation. Thanks for watching this video, and for full release notes, please check out the below link.